The best mechanics you should learn at each rank tier list. The hardest part about Brawlhalla is that a lot goes on each and every game, and sometimes it's impossible to know what to do to improve. So I created a tier list ranked 10 to diamond with exactly what you should focus on to rank up quicker. And why should you guys listen to me? To be honest, it's your choice whether you listen to me or not. I am a peak 2200 elo diamond, so through my Brawlhalla experience, I'll be telling you guys what I would tell my old self. But let's get right into the tier list. Starting off with 10 to silver. I'm grouping 10, bronze, and silver all in the same category because most likely you could instantly get out of 10 and bronze just by playing matches, and silver will just be included as well because it's not that hard to get out of. For these 3 ranks, I'm only going to be recommending 2 things to work on, and those 2 things are going to be pick one character to play for the rest of your ranked career, up until gold at least. You got to learn the optimal combos for both of your main weapons. If you're stuck in these ranks currently and you're watching this video, I suggest you search up combos for whatever weapons that you play, practice them in training mode, get used to the optimal combos and start using them in game rather than spamming random attacks hoping that you damage the opponent. I also made a couple shorts showing optimal combos and dodge reads of some of the weapons like the axe, spear, sword, and the bow. So if you like any of those weapons, go ahead and check those out. Moving on to gold, this rank is what I consider the dodging rank. So I'm going to be recommending a few things. 1, don't dodge in every single time you get hit. If anyone was to learn a dodge read, most likely they would know how to read an inward dodge the most because most of the players in Brawlhalla dodge in. So it'll only make sense to learn a dodge read that most players dodge in. You know what I mean? So try to get used to mixing up your dodges and dodging in different directions rather than mashing towards the opponent. Your goal is literally to not get hit, so why would you dodge towards your opponent every single time? The second thing I'd put in the gold tier list is to learn how to dodge read. For this, all you do is hop into training mode with your main, look up on YouTube dodge reads for the weapons that you use and practice them. Most likely in gold, get used to reading inward, outward, and spot dodges because those are the most common. The third and final thing on this tier list that I would recommend you learn, space out your jumps and your recovery options, especially when you're off stage, because 99% of the time you're probably gonna panic, but you have 4 presses of a button to get back on that stage. You have 2 jumps, a recovery option, which is your power button, and you have a dodge as well. So 2 jumps, recovery, and a dodge. Space out your jumps and time each jump by being more patient and waiting a second before you jump again. Brawlhalla is a game of patience and adaptation. The more you're patient, the more you panic less. Keep that in mind. Now I'm gonna add 2 more mechanics into this tier list, which is dash dancing and dash jumping. To practice dash dancing, all you gotta do is dash backwards and dash forward over and over. But when you're in game, I don't recommend spamming dash dance because you could mess up your spacing. But all you gotta do is just throw out a dash dance here and there, like dash forward, dash back at some point in your game, in your playstyle. It's really good for your fingers to build muscle memory on how to dash and do all types of things with the dash button. The second thing I'm including is dash jumping. Dash jumping will literally be the most improvement on your movement overall. So what I want you to do is start off slow. The more you mess up, the more you build muscle memory to mess up. And the more reps you get of it, then at some point you'll be able to do it faster and faster. All you want to do over time is to get your fingers used to the motion, and at some point you'll be able to go faster and faster. Moving on to the plat tier. The first thing I'm going to put on this tier list is to not attack so often. So what I want you to do to work on this is don't mash attack when your opponent is right in front of you, and don't mash attacks when you miss an attack. I know this isn't really a mechanic, but I wanted to include it because this is one of the most important things you could do in this rank. But listen, the less you attack, the more you could see your opponent miss, and you want most of your attacks to be attempted after your opponent's missed. But even when they miss, they have to be in your vicinity, your aura. If they miss from across the stage or throw out a random attack mid-air way far away from you, that doesn't mean, oh, they miss, I'm gonna try to hit them from across the stage. Just try to use your movement, do your dash dancing, your dash jumping, float around them, get in their area. They're gonna miss eventually because that's just instinct to hit someone when they're in your area. Just wait for them to miss and use your combos. Now, an actual mechanic I want you guys to work on in this tier also is chase dodging. When you hit an opponent, you're given a time limit to be able to chase dodge in multiple directions. You can chase dodge up, down, diagonal, and forward, but not backwards. I don't want you guys to spam chase dodges after every single attack because one, you could lose your dodge and get freaking comboed, and two, you're most likely gonna mess up your spacing. But I would only chase dodge when I'm off stage. If you need to get back on stage and your opponent jumps down to edge guard you, you can land an attack on them and immediately chase dodge up, which is like triple the height of a normal dash dodge. But to practice this, hop in a training mode and set the bot to be positioned off the stage. Then every time you can hit him, chase dodge up right after. Don't go for another attack because your goal is to obtain the stage control. Another mechanic I'm adding is fast falling and empty hopping. You should already know how to fast fall, because if you know how to dash jump, you have to fast fall to be able to dash jump. So the reason why you want to learn how to fast fall, obviously, you don't want to be floating around 3 seconds in the air looking like this. To do this, all you literally do is hold down after you jump. That's it. You can mix it up with your jumps, jump, fast fall. Practice jumping then fast falling and mix it up by adding a jump after each fast fall like this, like I showed you. And I learned this before I was even diamond. Empty hop is basically a jump and a fast fall, but you do it without dashing. This is a dash jump. This is an empty hop where you don't dash at all. This mechanic also helps you with patience. So basically you're not even throwing out an attack, you're just baiting out with movement. Another mechanic that I'm putting for the low plats is weapon throwing. Now if you play on controller like me, I suggest that you bind your throw button to a different button besides your quick attack button. Uncheck this right here, quick attacks pickup, you don't want that. The throw item is the pickup button. But what this does for me is I'm able to pick up weapons without having to accidentally attack when I don't want to. I'd always have that problem where I'd be unarmed and I would try to get a weapon, but the opponent's literally like hovering inside the weapon, so I can't get it. Since my quick attacks was to pick up, say the enemy is right here, right? And I try to pick up this weapon, my character is gonna attack rather than pick up the weapon. But if you turn off quick attacks pick up, you can pick up with a different button. You don't have to worry about attacking the opponent when you're trying to pick up the weapon. That's just a quick tip for controller players. Back to weapon throwing. Practice throwing your weapon during unexpected times and make sure that you dash before you throw your weapon as well, just to add a little momentum and speed to your throw. I like to dash jump and throw my weapon when my opponent's like hella passive, likes to stay on the ground a lot. When the weapon throw does hit like this, I always pick my weapon back up. But knowing how to throw your weapon and using it in game could give you some advantage in your games. It allows you to get better spacing and positioning. When they get hit by the weapon, they can't do anything during that 0.5 seconds, and use that as an approach. And I originally wasn't gonna list this on the tier list at all, but weapon throwing is a mechanic, so I had to include it. I would tell my old self to utilize weapon throwing more often, just to give myself better positioning and advantages. Now the last and final mechanic that I'm adding into the plat tier list is learning how to ledge cancel. Now this is kind of advanced and it should probably be like the last thing that you work on out of all things, but when there's platforms in the maps that you're playing, you can basically have some advantage just by utilizing the platforms. To practice this, go into training mode, hop on either Dojo or Small Enigma. This map right here is Small Enigma, and what I want you to do is jump, then when your character is right above the platform, dash. So jump, hold forward and dash, jump, forward, dash, jump, forward, dash. You kind of got to time this. It's really precise. You got to wait until your character's feet is right on top of the platform. If you do it too early, you're gonna dash. You do it too late, you're gonna dash. So try to get used to the timing, and you could already see how much advantage it gives you. Like, can't really tell what the opponent's doing if they do this on you. The more you do this over time, the more you'll get used to the timing. You can add in another ledge cancel like this. This is the last thing I want you guys to work on. Like, don't prioritize this over anything else that I added into this tier list. Now lastly, we got diamond rank. Now these mechanics could also be used in high plat, where you could practice these mechanics to get to diamond. But the first mechanic that I want you to learn is dash canceling. You got to get used to this movement just like any other mechanic, because it's very useful, especially when you mix it up with a dash dance or a dash jump into a dash cancel. It's basically where you dash and hold back on the joystick like this. Starting from the end of the map, this is a normal dash and this is a dash cancel. You can already see a big difference. 3 dashes to get to the middle of the map, and it takes like 1 dash to get to the middle map. Dash canceling is a very good move to create space and distance and baiting out your opponent. You could dash towards your opponent, jump around, and then add a dash cancel. Will make them feel the urge to attack. You could also use dash canceling instead of chase dodging. If you try to dash towards your opponent, you're gonna chase dodge no matter what. Rather than chase dodging, you could also dash cancel like this. Notice how my character didn't make the dodge animation? This is without. Low-key, dash canceling after an attack is more quicker too. To do this, all you do is land an attack, but you can't do this if you're doing like a spear downlight. When you land an attack, all you do is hold down on the joystick and dash. You can practice this by literally holding down on your joystick and pressing the dash button. Like, I'm not moving forward at all, I'm just holding down on the joystick. Another thing that I'm including into this diamond tier list is throw out attacks, random attacks. What I mean by this is throw out an attack when you're in a position where your opponent can't hit you. Now, most of the time they'll feel an urge to try and punish you, but since you're at a safe distance and you threw out your attack like far nowhere near them, they'll feel the urge to punish you. And when they do throw out an attack, you'll be able to recover in time before they hit you, and you could just get a free hit off of it. You can practice this in game, just the opponent's all the way over there, jump, do a random side air, they'll try to hit you. Petra has gauntlets, she'll do a side light after I miss, boom. Or you can do something like throw out attacks that you know that they can't hit you from. It's a very good baiting technique. I learned this from Kosalix. The last and final thing that I'm adding into this diamond tier list is resetting to neutral. Now, this isn't really a mechanic, it's more of like a knowledge thing, but every time you hit your opponent, you go into an advantage state. If you continue to try and hit them again or go for strings while they have their dodge after you hit them, then you put yourself in a disadvantage state. But if you attack your opponent, then back off or wait for them to dodge, then you put yourself in a neutral state where you could keep on finding ways to hit them over and over without putting yourself in a disadvantage state by missing an attack. Now, you could practice this by just going in game and hitting your opponent once. Don't go for dodge reads or don't throw out attacks trying to predict your opponent, and go based off of what you see. So you hit the opponent with like a side light, you're in an advantage state when you do this. But say the bot dodges, like spot dodges, if I try to continue the string and add a downlight, I'm in a disadvantage state because Petra dodged out of my attack. So basically it was a trade if the Petra does land a hit on me. You don't want to do that. You got to try your best to be the one putting more numbers on them. This is something that I struggle with a lot. So what you want to do is do the side light and back off. I'll be put in an advantage state, I back off, I'm in neutral state. In a normal Brawlhalla game, you're already in neutral state when you don't attack or do anything at all. When you land an attack, you're in an advantage state, and when you back off, you're in a neutral state again. Neutral state, you always have an opportunity to put yourself in an advantage state. So basically, to sum this all up, just attack your opponent once and just wait, put yourself in neutral state, attack them again, put yourself in neutral state, attack them again, put yourself in neutral state. You know, you're never putting yourself at a disadvantage by trying to predict your opponent. It's more of hitting them and backing up so that you can hit them the same way you hit them the first time. You know what I mean? Now, this is a pretty helpful tip because it also comes along with patience, and overall it could be that one thing that changes you as a Brawlhalla player. But that is my tier list, guys. If you haven't already and you want to see how I got to diamond all the way from 10 with the least play legend in the game, then you can check out that playlist right here. I also made a video where I start on a new account and see how high an elo I could get in one day. So if you guys want to see how I get to diamond from the lowest rank, then feel free to check those out. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.